You're going out there to destroy them, right? Not to study, not to bring back, but to wipe them out.
That's the plan.
I can retire in 2 years with the latest hot EV stock.
Just pick any EV stock. ChargePoint, Workhorse, Solo, they will all 10x every year.
Bleeding money and sheer dilution coming? No problem, it will 5x this month. Why are all my EV stocks trading flat? Why hasn't my money 10x this month yet?
There must be market manipulation going on. It's those whales' fault. Why hasn't my QTZX EV stock tripled yet?
The stock has been flat for a month. What is going on? Maybe EV isn't the future. What is happening? This isn't real. There is blood in the streets. My portfolio is ruined. How can it drop this much this fast?
I thought all EV stocks would just go up forever.
But that EV hype channel said I would be rich. This is impossible. I'm losing all my money. I told you. 2020 was the beginning of the current run of EV stocks. And it started with the main player, that would be Tesla. Elon and Tesla's 10-year odyssey finally came to a head. Tesla went from burning hundreds of millions of dollars every quarter to making hundreds of millions of dollars in profits. And the stock market rewarded investors richly with the stock hitting new high after new high. Tesla was going up seemingly 15% a day, sometimes more, and despite record short pressure, it continued to just squeeze them out and reach new highs. The vision was coming true and people were waking up to the fact that Tesla was doing so much more than building cars, and actually the value proposition with Tesla was just in its infancy. But this gave birth to something else altogether. With Tesla on one of the great runs we have ever seen and everyone realizing that the future of EV is here, the race was on to find the next Tesla. And it didn't take long for a challenger to emerge. Enter Nikola. With its boisterous CEO taking direct aim at Elon, and not just with his company, but with his Twitter and in interviews, it appeared a legit challenger to Tesla was here, and the stock price for Nikola skyrocketed. The return on Nikola was rewarding investors better than Tesla was at the time, and in turn, the hype train jumped into overdrive. Underneath all the hype and hoopla, something much more nefarious was happening. And despite Nikola possibly being a complete fraud, people took note because Trevor cashed out a multi-billion-dollar check regardless of his failure. Now every company related to EV is rushing to go public, each with its own unique story on how they will change the world and individual hype trains behind them, but all basically selling the same dream at its core. EV is the future, and only exciting new EV companies will be able to take advantage of this multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. They all show a very similar model to 10x every year, and if you disagreed with them, they just pointed to the success of Tesla and basically said even at $100 per share, it's cheaper than Tesla was when its big run started. Performance, profitability, and an actual market for the product or having a roadmap to future growth just didn't matter. And the money flowed into anything involving EVs. Even companies that still did not have a product yet. Irrational exuberance was and still is rampant, And anyone who pointed that out was just labeled a bear like the short sellers of Tesla a year earlier, and their opinions are immediately dismissed without a thought of if what they are saying is valid or not. If it was just related to EVs at all, it was going to make you massive money no matter what, and the opportunity was just too big for any of these companies to not make you a fortune in a year. Why can't they all just continue to go up like Tesla? This type of euphoria does not happen often, but when it does, everyone with access to raise capital will start a business in this segment. When billions of dollars can be cashed out by the originators without even having anything more than a PowerPoint, there absolutely will be many people who will attempt to ride the hype train to billions. Nikola represents the worst case scenario, but it's a glorious worst case. Think about it for a second. The worst case scenario is you face some public scrutiny and shaming, but cash out $3.1 billion. And your best case is you're a rock star like Elon making tens of billions of dollars. To most, that is the very definition of an extreme win-win scenario and too much to turn down. But this also means there will be a ton of junk put out there, and there will be a lot of it just like we saw in the tech bubble. And even companies that are not junk and have a great product will absolutely enjoy outsized gains in stock price that will then cause the stock to trade flat for many years when the bubble pops, just like the tech bubble did. What is going on now is following the exact pattern of the tech bubble. But it's not all bad. Actually, I think it's great, and let me show you why. The tech bubble gets a bad rap for being bad for everyone, but nothing could be further from the truth. It's not like the tech bubble burst and the future that was being presented and promised, the internet, went away. The predictions were actually correct. The internet was the future. It is absolutely a part of every piece of life in today's society and was the single biggest catalyst and game changer the world has seen in a very long time. This was a once in 100-year innovation like the Industrial Revolution. It's just that not every company linked to the internet back during the tech bubble was going to take over the world like they were promising. The tech bubble destroyed the NASDAQ as a whole for 15 years. But the companies that were actually great during that time frame and won the tech competition thrived during those 15 years. Let me give you one illustration to demonstrate the point. Apple enjoyed a huge run-up and crash during the tech bubble. But since 2000, after the bubble popped, Apple has returned over 1,000%, so if you put $10,000 in Apple after the bubble burst in 2000, it's now worth over $1.2 million. For less than the price of a used car back then, Apple made you a millionaire. There are many other companies that not only survived, but thrived afterwards like Apple. It just wasn't all of them. But even more importantly than that, the tech bubble birthed lots of innovations that would not have happened without the crazy bubble and paved the way for the next great generation of companies that started during this euphoria that was the tech bubble. Google was founded during the tech bubble. Alibaba was founded during the tech bubble. Amazon went from small niche retailer into a global behemoth with the tech bubble fueling its expansion. Facebook was founded in 2003 in the ashes of the tech bubble. Those are 4 of the top 10 biggest companies in the world right there today. So there is no doubt that the tech bubble was absolutely great for the world overall and made many investors very wealthy who chose wisely. So how does this all play out? How does this all play out in the end? This will all end with some of the greatest innovation the world has ever seen, and 10 to 20 years from now, the world will look completely different. There will be many investors out there who will enjoy an Apple-like run over the next decade plus that will create millionaires out of many people who invested a modest amount, and they will be rewarded richly for choosing the right horses. But it will also leave a wake of investors who lost and will never recover because they chose the wrong horses. The reality is, I can name off every EV player in the market right now, and I know for a fact that more than half of them will not be around in 10 years. And with all the hype around the newest EV player that hits the market, It's hard to remember that although Tesla will dominate legacy automakers, but that does not mean the rest of these players will do the same just because they are an EV company too. Now, some legacy automakers will die a slow and painful death. I agree there completely. But there will be a few who will turn it around and figure out a way to compete in the space. You don't have to be the best or even close to the best to compete and have some market share. If the world completely switches to EVs by 2030, Tesla and all the other EV companies cannot fill a demand vacuum. The infrastructure is just not there, leaving room for some of the legacy auto players to play, so they cannot completely be counted out, at least not all of them. So in my opinion, this is how it all ends. Tesla, along with 2 to 3 other EV companies, are going to make you a ton of money and thrive. A handful of legacy automakers will survive, and a company or two that is still not even known to us yet will thrive in this new world that is being formed right now. The rest of the companies will either outright fail, be sold to one of the larger players, or will never move beyond their very niche segments of the market and will take years to see any stock price growth due to the bubble-like pricing right now. These are extremely exciting times, and a tech bubble event with EVs is great for the innovation in-game and will make some of you out there very, very wealthy if you choose the right horses to ride.